प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. Thank you again for joining for this discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 1, verse number 16. Grihat pravrajito dhiraha punyatirtha jala plutah शुचौ विविक्त आसिनो विधिवत कल्पितासने. गृहात् प्रव्रजितो धीरः पुण्यतीर्थ जलाप्लुतः शुचौ विविक्त आसिनो विधिवत कल्पितासने. गृहात् प्रव्रजितो धीरः पुण्यतीर्थ जलाप्लुतः शुचौ विविक्त आसीनो विधिवत कल्पितासने. Word to word translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Grihat, from one's home, pravrajitaha, having gone out, dhiraha, self-controlled, punya, pious, tirtha, sacred place, jala aplutaha, fully washed, shuchau, cleansed, vivikte, solitary, asinaha, seated, vidhivat, according to regulations, kalpita, having done, asane, on a sitting place. Translation: one should leave home and practice self-control. In a sacred place, he should bathe regularly and sit down in a lonely place duly sanctified. Purport: to prepare oneself for the better next life, one must get out of one's so-called home. The system of Varnashrama Dharma or Sanatana Dharma prescribes retirement from family encumbrances as early as possible after one has passed 50 years of age. Modern civilization is based on family comforts, the highest standard of amenities, and therefore after retirement everyone expects to live a very comfortable life in a well-furnished home decorated with fine ladies and children without any desire to get out of such a comfortable home. High government officers and ministers stick to their prize posts until death, and they neither dream nor desire to get out of homely comforts. Bound by such hallucinations, materialistic men prepare various plans for a still more comfortable life. But suddenly, cruel death comes without mercy and takes away the great plan maker against his desire, forcing him to give up the present body for another body. Such a plan maker is thus forced to accept another body in one of the 8.4 million species of life, according to the fruits of the work he has performed. In the next life, persons who are too much attached to family comforts are generally awarded lower species of life on account of sinful acts performed during a long duration of sinful life, and thus all the energy of the human life is spoiled. In order to be saved from the danger of spoiling the human form of life and being attached to unreal things, one must take warning of death at the age of 50, if not earlier. The principle is that one should take it for granted that the death warning is already there, even prior to the attainment of 50 years of age, and thus at any stage of life one should prepare himself for a better next life. The system of the Sanatana Dharma institution is so made that the follower is trained for the better next life without any chance that the human life will be spoiled. The holy places all over the world are meant for the residential purposes of retired persons getting ready for a better next life. Intelligent persons must go there at the end of life, and for that matter, after 50 years of age, to live a life of spiritual regeneration for the sake of being freed from family attachment, which is considered to be the shackle of material life. One is recommended to quit home just to get rid of material attachment, because one who sticks to family life until death cannot get rid of material attachment, and as long as one is materially attached, one cannot understand spiritual freedom. One should not, however, become self-complacent simply by leaving home or by creating another home at the holy place, either lawfully or unlawfully. Many persons leave home and go to such holy places, but due to bad association, again become family men by illicit connection with the opposite sex. The illusory energy of matter is so strong that one is apt to be under such illusion at every stage of life, even after quitting one's happy home. Therefore, it is essential that one practice self-control by celibacy without the least desire for sex indulgence. For a man desiring to improve the condition of his existence, sex indulgence is considered suicidal or even worse. Therefore, to live apart from family life means to become self-controlled in regard to all sense desires, especially sex desires. The method is that one should have a duly sanctified sitting place made of straw, deer skin, and carpet, and thus sitting on it, one should chant the holy name of the Lord without offense, as prescribed above. The whole process is to drag the mind from material engagements and fix it on the lotus feet of the Lord. This simple process alone will help one advance to the highest stage of spiritual success. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Bhaktivedanta purports ki jai. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narotamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udhirayet. Nashtaprayeshu bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. So here Prabhupada is very, very strong. His purport is very, very direct and very powerful. There's no mincing of words, there's no sugarcoating at all. So we can see here, Parikshit Maharaj has asked a question, Sukadeva Goswami is answering, and slowly he will start describing the Dhyana Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga, you can say, and how a yogi sees the Lord in the heart. So this is the first thing, the yogis describe. Of course, we have not come to that stage, but this is from this verse and the next verse, the preface for this whole process is going to start. If you read this purport again, it'll actually scare you off. Should I really go for a spiritual life? But as we know, if we do not think about what is to be done now, at the end of our life, we'll think, what have I done? So yes, we have to think, we have to contemplate, we have to understand, and Sankhya Yoga is actually meant for us so that we analyze the situation of material life. And then we can understand, this is temporary. By now we should be convinced. We have studied Bhagavad Gita, we have studied Bhagavatam. By now we should be convinced that I am not this body, I am the soul. Of course, during the ordinary course of life, during the ordinary days, we might act as if we are the body or the mind many times. But again and again, by hearing from Srila Prabhupada, especially these wonderful, powerful purports. I mean, if you read every sentence, it will give you a jolt. It will give you a shock. What most people think of retiring here, Prabhupada says, no, that's also not correct. Prabhupada, and he details everything here. Modern civilization is based on family comforts, the highest standard of amenities, and therefore after retirement, everyone expects to live a very comfortable life in a well-furnished home decorated with fine ladies and children, without any desire to get out of such a comfortable home. Now, who is going to be interested in Bhagavatam telling you that when there are arms, you don't need pillows? And when there is earth, you don't need a bed. And when there are barks, you don't need clothes. Who's going to study Bhagavatam? No. But this is the reality of life. We can understand Sukadeva Goswami here in the first 5-6 verses of this chapter, he's exposed the materialistic people who squander this wonderful, valuable human life and the time given in the human life in material preoccupation. Sukadeva Goswami here, he says, okay, yes, we have to, he's actually in this whole chapter, he's establishing the remembrance of the Lord. And not only this chapter, the first 3 chapters. So we have to very carefully analyze, because from now on it's going to get a bit technical. When Sukadeva Goswami starts explaining about the how the yogi sees the Lord in his heart, it's not just what we think that the yogi sees. He actually sees in great detail, and this great detail is going to be described by Sukadeva Goswami. And he ultimately tells Parikshit Maharaj, he establishes that the remembrance of the Lord at the time of death is the perfection of life. We have seen Ante Narayana Smriti. This is the bottom line. Someone who's coming close to death, no chance. And Prabhupada says here, 50 years, less than 50 years. We see that earlier the lifespan was 100 years. But as Viraj Krishna Prabhu has a couple of times mentioned, that the median age is probably for females, it is 81 in this country, and probably 79 for males. So, anyway, 20 years have just gone there. So, at the age of 45, you should start preparing, as His Holiness Keshav Maharaj says, earn, learn, turn, and return. Brahmachari is for earning, Brahmachari is for learning, Grahastha is for earning, the Vanaprastha life is for turning away from the social surroundings, social responsibilities, social entanglements, and again trying to return back to Krishna. I'm not going to analyze this whole purport, because Prabhupada has, very, very boldly is given, if someone is interested, actually we should be interested, and read this purport again, and place yourself in this situation to see, where are we situated? Are we that plan maker? Prabhupada says here. Prabhupada says, suddenly death will come without mercy and take away the great plan maker against his desire, forcing him to give up the present body for another body. And then we have to accept any of these 8.4 million species of life according to the fruits of the work we have performed. And then Prabhupada again says, yes, persons who are too much attached to family comforts are generally awarded lower species of life on account of sinful acts performed during a long duration of sinful life. So this way, this purport is actually giving us the red signal, the amber signal and the red signal. And we can see from Prabhupada's life, and we can see from many devotees' lives also here, that these devotees have been alert to the warnings given. The story of that old lady. She was not that old. She was, probably 60s. And suddenly, the Yamadutas came, and so she was a bit scared, and she said, "Hey, who are you?" She said, "We are Yamadutas. Your time has come, and we're going to take you to Yamaraj." And she said, "No. Before you came, you didn't give me any notice. You have to give me some notice. You might have heard this story before." And then Yamadutas, said, "No. We have given you enough notice, and there is no requirement for us to give any notice before we come." And the lady started pleading and begging, and so Yamadutas were a little bit, compassionate. So they said, "Okay, we will come back after we have given you enough notice." And then again, after, a couple of years go, and the Yamadutas are back on the door of this old lady. And the lady said, "Hey, just little time has gone by. I have not even finished my responsibilities. I have to get my children married. I have to see my grandchildren. I have to see that the grandchildren's, ceremonies have been done. They've been, properly schooled and all that. You cannot come now. You have not given me enough notice." The Yamaduta said, "We have actually, madam, we have given you 4 notices, and 4 notices, 4 distinct notices. When we gave you the first notice, you ignored them. When we gave you the second notice, you ignored that also. So cumulatively, we've given 4 notices." So the lady asks, "So what do you mean by notices?" So the Yamaduta said that, you had all dark hair when you were young, but the moment the hair started to get gray or white, that was the first notice. You didn't notice that, and you started putting dye on your hair. Then we gave you notice that your eyesight has become weak, and then you got contact lenses to make yourself again look beautiful. That was the second notice, but you didn't heed to that notice also. Then your uh, teeth started to wobble, and they became a bit, repairing work was supposed to be done. That was the third notice. And then you again went to the dentist, got yourself teeth fixed, got some dentures, blah, 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 whatever it is. That was the third notice. And the fourth notice was that, you started bending from the waist, from the back. And you didn't heed to that notice also. You went to a physiotherapist, you went to chiropractor, but you didn't understand that these are the four notices. So if we get these four notices before death is going to come. And Prabhupada says here that, the cruel death without any mercy comes and takes the plan maker away against their desire. As we know, there's a saying, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. If you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. Yes. Krishna has his own plans for us. And Prabhupada here actually is warning us that you better align your plans to Krishna's plans. This verse, when I was actually reading the purport, interestingly, those of you who are writing notes can take down something from here. It actually follows the maybe it just you can also argue this point, but I thought it is following this point. But if you think that you have a different opinion, maybe you can call and discuss, or you can discuss among yourselves to see whether. So, as we know, Bhagavatam is a part of the. It's the ultimate of the Vedanta Sutra, and every verse, it's in Vedanta Sutra, is supposed to have 5 parts. And Prabhupada describes these 5 parts. And in this verse, I found these 5 parts. So the first part is Vishaya. Vishaya means the thesis or statement. So Prabhupada makes a statement in the beginning here that to prepare oneself for the better life, one must get out of one's so-called home. And then he speaks about the Varnashram system of Sanatana Dharma, where it prescribes retirement from family encumbrances as early as possible after one has passed 50 years of age. So this is the Vishaya. This is the verse which says that one should leave home. Yes, one should leave home. Grihat pravrajito dhiraha. A dhira, a self-controlled person, must leave the home. Yes. Punya tirtha jalapnutaha. Should stay in a holy place and bathe regularly. So this is the Vishaya. This is the thesis or the statement. But then someone can say, okay, no, there is a doubt. There is a samshaya. The second part of this nyaya or this argument or this logic is called samshaya. Samshaya means doubt. So if there's a doubt in the tenability of this statement. So then Prabhupada actually goes into great detail, saying that most people are doubting this statement. So they live according to comfortable life. They live with big houses, with fine ladies, and they just keep on making plans. And that's why the whole human energy is spoiled. So because they're doubting this, so Prabhupada gives that life also. Okay, you have got an option of that life. So this is creating a doubt on the original statement. That's called samshaya. Then the third one is interestingly called purva paksha. Purva paksha means arguments from the opposite side. So Prabhupada then gives the argument that, yes, people think it's a great life, I'm making plans. So purva paksha means presenting the view opposing the original statement. So original statement is one should leave home, stay in a sacred place and bathe regularly. But Purva Paksha will say, no. I want to stay at home. I want to live a comfortable life in my, nice furniture, nice cars, nice routine of having a coffee, of going for golf or doing this and doing that. That's Purva Paksha. So Prabhupada is presenting the argument against the original statement. But then ultimately the fourth stage is what we call Siddhanta. So Vishaya, Samshaya, Purvapaksha, Siddhanta. Siddhanta again is the determination of the final conclusion. And Prabhupada, at the end, he concludes here. He said, the method is that one should have a duly sanctified sitting place made of straw, deer skin and carpet, and thus sitting on it, one should chant the holy name of the Lord without offense as prescribed above. So this is what is called Siddhanta. The Siddhanta is that, yes, after you're 50 years of age, of course, I'm the last person to be able to speak on this because, I've passed my 60, but still I'm living in a comfortable home, and I'm just trying to make the home better and better and better for my living. So please forgive me if I sound like a hypocrite or if I am a hypocrite. I'm trying to work on myself also. So you have to bear with me. We are not at that stage, but somehow or the other, with Krishna's mercies, with Guru's mercy, we are trying to see what Prabhupada has mentioned in his books and trying to implement in our lives. So Siddhanta, this is Siddhanta where the determination of final conclusion happens. And then the last one is Sangati. Sangati means confirmation of the final conclusion. Confirmation of the final conclusion. And then Prabhupada confirms this in the last two lines. The whole process is to drag the mind from material engagements and fix it on the lotus feet of the Lord. This simple process alone will help one advance to the highest stage of spiritual success. And we have seen that so many Vedic texts are confirming this. Ante Narayana Smriti. Or if you see the Shram Eva Hi Kevalam, when in the second chapter of first canto, when Sudha Goswami is speaking, they're saying, yes, just working like an ass is like Shram Eva Hi Kevalam. So this way we can understand that our life should be slowly for the practice of our spiritual progress. Now imagine, so this is Vishaya, Samshaya, Purvapaksha, Siddhanta, and Sangati. So these are the 5 points, and many purports of Srila Prabhupada. Actually, quite a few purports, even though they are short purports. If you see, Prabhupada presents the Vishaya in the first, second line, and normally even in our study of Bhagavad Gita with the different groups, different Bhakti Vrikshas, we can see that first 2-3 lines of the purport and last 2-3 lines of the purport are very powerful. So Vishaya is established, then Prabhupada presents the doubt, Prabhupada presents arguments in the opposing views, supporting the opposing views. Then Prabhupada speaks about the Siddhanta, the final conclusion, and the confirmation of final conclusion. So this way we can see that, yes, any argument which is opposing us, we can easily be refuting that. So we can see that Srila Prabhupada's life was an example of this. Prabhupada lived a very active childhood. He used to say, while passing over the famous Victoria Memorial Building in Calcutta, he will tell, afterwards when he came back from America, he will tell his disciples, he will remember his childhood days, and he will say that, when we were children, we used to climb over this Victoria Memorial Hall and just have fun, sitting on the top of the roof. So Prabhupada had a very wonderful childhood. He was quite a scholar in his studies, and he was a very devout follower of his parents. We can see a lot of the samskaras which Prabhupada had came from his parents. So not that, he would just disregard his parents and, like the modern times, if you tell someone, to help you with something, they'll completely disregard you. Then in his Grihastha life, he was a very, responsible Grihastha. And then when he came to that stage of his life, that he left everything, went, and then spread this entire movement all over the world. So Prabhupada's life, we can see, is is a portrayal of what this verse says. Yes, one has to leave home and practice self-control. Prabhupada practiced so much of self-control when he was in the West. And, there's so many, hundreds and thousands of instances where Prabhupada said one disciple, when he came to Prabhupada with a complaint against another devotee, and he says, Prabhupada, is becoming very hard to tolerate this devotee. And Prabhupada said, but you have to tolerate him the way I have tolerated you. So Prabhupada was practicing self-control, and of course, his life was completely dedicated to spiritual life. And before coming to the West, he was staying in Radha Damodar Mandir, again a sacred place, and he was performing his wonderful, you can say, preparation for a lifetime Leela. He was preparing himself to go out and attack the Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschat Desha, like that. We can see in the last 10 days, personally I have seen that the study of Bhagavad Gita, Bhāgavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita helps us very, very much. In the last 10 days, you would have also noticed that this Siddhanta, what we are studying, this science, what we are studying, is just not philosophy. We are actually implementing this in our lives. We are experiencing these emotions of Krishna consciousness. We started from Friday week before this, not last Friday, before that, we were all assembled in the temple to prepare for the wonderful Janmashtami. Then we also had a wonderful Janmashtami festival, which we were instruments in the hands of the Lord, where we could give Krishna's names, Krishna's prasadam, Krishna's books to almost 4.5, probably 5,000 people. Then we had a wonderful celebration of Srila Prabhupada's Vyas Puja, where our dear Sri Ram Vijay Prabhu also could come and witness the proceedings. Of course, then his health suddenly went down, and last couple of days we saw devotees gather from everywhere. We're chanting for him, we're praying for him so so intensely. These are not just ordinary actions. These are actions of the highest order, where we can see that whatever we are studying, we are putting into practice as an individual and as a community. And then ultimately we saw, the final rites of Prabhu yesterday being very wonderfully performed. And again, in a very short time, all of us came together. Praveen Prabhu, he collected all the items for paraphernalia. He took the responsibility. Jamadagni Prabhu took the responsibility of, organizing the and liaising with the cremation, the cremation director, and the crematorium hall. Ramanuj Prabhu organized the entire proceedings from the previous evening to get everything together, to liaise with the priests, to making sure everything happens on time. So all these things happened very wonderfully, and at the end, nice eulogy given. All the rites were performed properly. Senapati Prabhu sang wonderful kirtan. Making sure that Prabhu is given a very wonderful send off, a very wonderful farewell, the way he lived his life. So we can see that we are not alone in this journey. Many times you might think that I am in minority, but actually Prabhupada said, if two people are together and the same mentality in Krishna consciousness, that is association. But if 200 people are together and of different mentality, not in Krishna consciousness, that is not association. So this way, we can remain in the community, practice Krishna consciousness seriously, give Krishna to one and all, and then make our life successful. One question before I want you to ponder, whether both Vraj Lakshmi and I are we living the life of a plan maker, as is mentioned here, or are we supposed to go out and stay in a sacred place of pilgrimage and pursue our spiritual life there? I also go through this question many times. I don't have an answer as yet. When I ask my spiritual master this question, he says, Sakira, you will know when it's time to move on. I don't know when the time will come. It's 1 minute past. Thank you very much for hearing. If there's any questions, realizations, reflections, comments, please unmute and share. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Granth Raj, Srīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. A very confronting, profound verse, that one. Just wanted to clarify the age of 50 or as early as possible afterwards. There's the one ashram system and there's also duty. So if you're a grihastha and you have duty, you're at home raising young children, obviously it's impossible, impractical to, at that age to, walk away. Is Prabhupada referring here to sannyas, or is he referring to vanaprastha at that point beyond 50? Thank you.
So here Prabhupada is referring to vanaprastha, which is as I said, you turn away from social life and you start, because it's you just cannot take sannyas right after grihastha life. It's not possible. So this phase is given to us where we start practicing spiritual life seriously. So once you start practicing spiritual life seriously, and slowly, of course, in specific situations, the best solution would be to add Krishna to whatever we are doing. To add Krishna, and that you need some intelligence, because the world is actually going against Krishna consciousness. But we need to be extra intelligent, which we can also discuss personally as to how, and each one of us can discuss personally as to how in every phase of our life we can introduce Krishna and service to Krishna, service to the Vaishnavas, whatever situation we are in. And ultimately, if we cannot do physically anything, but by hearing and chanting, as Viraj Krishna Prabhu always says, that we should prepare ourselves that when we are physically not able to do something, at least mentally, intellectually, psychologically, emotionally, spiritually, we are prepared that on our own, we can become Krishna conscious in any situation. Does that answer your question, Prabhu?
Yes, thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay, we can also discuss more if you want, specific scenarios. Yeah. Any other question, comments, reflections? Advice to me on my life, we are willing to accept that also.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Just there are a few thoughts that have always passed my mind. Like one of them, which you mentioned, was how Srila Prabhupada has spent a lifetime in preparation before he actually came out and preached. And same has been done by a few seniors like, Keshav Maharaj, and who were advised to prepare yourself before you actually go out. Even on Instagram, before he went out, he had to prepare himself because that was the instruction he received. We see that on one hand, and on the other hand, we see Srila Prabhupada's disciples who were empowered by Srila Prabhupada quite instantly as soon as they joined the movement to just go out and preach. So they're two contrasting things in a way. And I've always wondered if I have ever taken up leadership prematurely in my spiritual life without preparing enough, without making my heart soften enough or having enough compassion to go out and preach. But I guess I found the answer when you said the last thing that Indum Maharaj told you, that you will know when it's time. You will know when you're not doing the right thing, right? So it was very nice to hear your personal conversation with your Guru Maharaj. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you. Also, when Prabhupada, he started, it was an emergency. Prabhupada didn't have time. He knew he was running against time. So he immediately let someone like Survidas Adhikari, the next day he met him, not even chanting any rounds. But he said, I'm going to initiate you tomorrow. So what Prabhupada did was not something which is in ordinary course of action. It was an emergency. And also not everyone lasted the test of time. Prabhupada initiated 5,000 disciples. I think only 1,500 then were there for the long time, and quite a few also went about doing their own things. Of course, many of them are coming back at the end of their life, but then those circumstances were different. So we have to understand we have got enough time to prepare ourselves. And now, after coming to Krishna consciousness, hearing all these instructions, the important thing is that as a community, we have not only to acquire the taste in spiritual life, but also help others in acquiring this taste in spiritual life. And that's very important. When we see, yesterday I was at the Sunday feast, and we could see there are 6-7 families who are coming regularly. And it is our duty to nurture them, to make sure that they are taken care of, not only now, but for next 25 years. And that's what we actually did with Sri Ram Vijay Prabhu. As I said, I met him 20 years ago. And I started studying Bhagavad Gita with the family. So yes, it's a long haul, It's the African saying goes, if you want to run faster, you run alone. But if you want to run longer, you run in a community, you run together. Okay, we are actually way above time, 7:07. Please forgive me for this time taken, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Tomorrow we'll continue a discussion of Srimad Bhagavatam, 6:30 Krishna willing. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for the class, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mahaprabhu.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, everyone. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.